So, hello there, and welcome to another Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV, and whenever I want, for about half an hour to an hour, whenever I want. Although in today's podcast, it's going to be quite a short one, as the only thing I'm doing is reviewing the Little Mermaid, Disney's live-action remake of the Little Mermaid. But before I do that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast I do, that if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello there to my viewers, but heck, you're just not in the right place right now and you don't have the time right now to watch the full podcast on YouTube, then you can also podcast out audibly on Spotify and Night of the Movies on that platform. But if you are already listening on Spotify, hello there to podcast listeners, then you can also podcast out visually on my YouTube channel and Night of the Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, whatever you might be watching or listening to the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and also leave me some feedback on things to improve on in these podcasts and give me some suggestions on topics we want to talk about in future podcasts as well, because I would love to get some suggestions of topics and things to talk about in future podcasts. But anyway, as I've already mentioned in this podcast today, I am reviewing the new Disney live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. And you know what? I'm just going to go straight into it. I'm not even going to give a plot synopsis this one because everybody already knows the plot to The Little Mermaid, so I'm not going to give a plot synopsis. And what I'm going to say is, I really enjoyed this film. You know what? It was swimmingly entertaining. Haha, pun of the day. But no, it was swimmingly entertaining, and I had a great time watching it, which is saying a lot because this is the first live-action Disney musical remake that I've actually enjoyed. Honestly, I haven't enjoyed anything before really that much. I didn't mind Cinderella, actually, but I got annoyed with how handsome and attractive the people were in that film, to be honest. And also, I felt it was a bit overblown in certain parts, but it was okay to watch. But I've never felt a need to re-watch Cinderella, you know what I mean? You know, Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella from 2015 with Lily James and Richard Madden. I've never felt a need to re-watch. I never felt like I want to re-watch it at any point. But I would be down to rewatch Little Mermaid, and the reason I would be is because it's full of life and it has this joy in it, and you feel like everyone is having fun making this movie. I never felt that when in the other, Disney live action remakes, where it was Beauty and the Beast, Jungle Book, Lion King, Aladdin, and there's another one that I've seen off the top of my head. No, I don't think there is, and those are the ones I've seen. And although it feels a bit stale after a while, feel a bit tedious to get through, and don't have that joy in them that you want from a Disney musical, and yet this film does, and it has that joy through the performances, through Hailey Bailey as the Little Mermaid, as Ariel, the Little Mermaid. She is just amazing in the film. Every time she's on screen, she's so magnetic and you're glued to her in the way you should be, through her amazing singing and also her delightful performance. She is a star in the making. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if in about 5, 6, 7, 8 years' time she wins an Oscar. I wouldn't be surprised. She's that good of an actress, and also she's that good of a singer as well. I would love to see her in more musicals. In fact, she's going to be in another musical this Christmas in, the Colour Purple musical, which I'm looking forward to. She's going to be in that. So yes, she is great in the film, and also Melissa McCarthy is great as Ursula, the Sea Witch. Melissa McCarthy chews up the scenery in the film the way Ursula should. The way somebody playing Ursula should chew up the scenery. When she sings Poor Unfortunate Soul, said it right this time, she does it with such passion. You can really feel that she's throwing herself into that musical number, and it works, and Melissa McCarthy is great in this film. And also, she's very different than what I usually see Melissa McCarthy do. I haven't seen her in loads, but, in Bridesmaids, she's playing quite a funny character, quite a comical character and everything like that. And I enjoy her in Bridesmaids, and I enjoy her in other various, comedic roles I've seen her play before. But it's always the same sort of character she's playing. She's not playing that character in this film, and I loved the way she just threw herself into Ursula, and she was great. Really enjoyed watching her. And also, Javier Bardem is really good as King Triton as well. I think that's the character's name. I must admit, I'm not a big Little Mermaid fan, and I'll talk about that very shortly later in this podcast. But Javier Bardem is great. He seems like he's having a lot of fun, because Javier Bardem has played his selection of mean characters in the past, villainous characters, and yet he seems like he's having fun in this one now. And I mean, the whole cast do a great job. The one who plays the prince, I forgot what the prince's name is, but the one who plays the prince does a great job as well. And all the cast are really fun to watch. And all the voice cast, I think, I have a lot of life in their performances, whether it's Aquafina as the bird, I've got the bird's caught on my head right now, or whether it's the fish, what's the fish called? Flounder, I think it is. Flounder? I'm, again, not big on The Little Mermaid. And also, the one who voices Sebastian, I forgot the actor's name at the top of my head right now, but the one who voices Sebastian also does a great job. The voice cast are great, and also the musical sequences leap off the screen in the way you want from a Disney musical. I think they work really well, and also the songs are catchy. I mean, everybody knows the songs from the original Little Mermaid, but actually there's a new song in this film, I think. Actually, there might be two new songs, I'm not entirely sure, but all the musical numbers work really well, and I think they're the highlights of the film. I mean, there's a lot of good moments in the movie as well, like the chemistry between, Hailey Bailey as Ariel and the guy who plays the prince. There's great chemistry there, and you really enjoy watching those characters. But at the same time, the highlights for me were the musical numbers, which were just so fun to watch and catchy, and just moments from the musical numbers are stuck in my head right now. And I mean, I only watched the film a couple of hours ago, but I remember coming out of Aladdin and not really remember anything about it, the remake of Aladdin, and I've come out of this film, and you know what? I've got so many great memories of just the musical numbers in my head right now. And yeah, it's full of life and it's full of joy, and that's why I enjoyed it. I never felt bored in this film, and this is all coming from somebody who is not a Little Mermaid fan. I'm not someone who grew up with watching The Little Mermaid. I don't really know, I didn't really know what it was, to be honest. It's one of those films which I just felt wasn't going to be for me when I was growing up. And I did watch the film for the first time a couple of days ago now, and I felt it was okay. It was okay, it wasn't harmful or anything. I did take a huge disliking to it, but I also didn't take a huge affection towards it either. I didn't take a huge liking to it, I watched it, it had some good moments, but hot take here, unpopular opinion, whatever you want to call it, I think the old-fashioned Disney animation that you get in the original Little Mermaid and in so many of Disney's classic animation films, I think that style of animation is a bit outdated now. Hot take. But yeah, that might be why I didn't enjoy the original Little Mermaid that much. So this is all coming from someone who isn't a big fan of the original Little Mermaid. I don't hate it, but I just don't really like it that much. It's fine in my opinion. And yet I had a great time with this film. And you know what? This might be a hot take as well, but I don't care. I think the remake of The Little Mermaid is better than the original. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me there, and I know I'll be in the minority with that statement, with my opinion, but I don't care. Since when have I been popular? I just had a really good time with it. I didn't expect to. There are problems with it, as you might expect from a film like this, because of the underwater sequences. Because the film's called The Little Mermaid, and if you didn't know already, a lot of the film takes place underwater. And the thing is about underwater sequences in films now, and I think I'd feel about this as well if I ever went back and rewatched Aquaman from 2018, James Cameron has ruined all underwater sequences in films because of Avatar: The Way of Water. Like, say all about Avatar: The Way of Water. Love it, hate it, whatever. I love it. But the thing is, all the underwater sequences in that film look so real and so believable and don't look like CGI. I mean, I just think they filmed under the water when they were making Avatar: The Way of Water, and they added in the CGI after. I'm not really sure how it was made, but you can go and look up online, and behind the scenes, footage from making Avatar: The Way of Water But obviously, do that after you watched or listened to this podcast. But the thing is, because the water sequences, the underwater sequences, looks so realistic in Avatar: The Way of Water. You watch the underwater sequence in this film, and it does look like CGI. It never really looks like they're swimming around in water, and there are clear differences between when real water is used in this film and when the water has been CGI'd. And sometimes it didn't really bother me, to be honest, but at the same time, though, it does take you out of it. It is a bit unengaging, when you're watching the film and there are some underwater sequences which don't look real and just look like they're swimming with blue screen and that their hair has been CGI'd after. I mean, it's not bad, but like I said before, I just think Avatar: The Way of Water has ruined underwater sequences in films, period. And The Little Mermaid is an exemplification of that. It's a perfect example of that. How, I was sitting there thinking, yeah, Avatar: The Way of Water ruined all this underwater stuff for me now, because I'm not finding this realistic whatsoever. And I was wondering that maybe if I hadn't seen Avatar: The Way of Water, or if it came out after this film, would I feel differently? Because I never really had that problem with the first Aquaman movie. And yeah, because I've seen Avatar: The Way of Water now, I did have that problem with The Little Mermaid. And so some of the CGI does look a bit rough when under the water and does take on a bit, it's a bit unengaging at times. And also, the animals in this film are a bit weird to watch as well. They're like the animals in The Lion King, where they look so realistic, yet they speak with human voices, they speak normally, and it's weird to watch, and that's one of the reasons the Lion King remake didn't work for me. And yet, in this film, I mean, it wasn't a huge problem for me, because this film had the inclusion of human characters, whilst the live-action, Lion King remake, it didn't. So this film saved all the animal weird stuff when all the animals look so real, and yet at the same time, though, they're talking normally. That's just weird in my opinion. I just find it really weird to watch. But it was saved by the inclusion of human characters. So the animal stuff took a bit of adjusting to, but I was okay with it after a while, because you had Hailey Bailey as Ariel, interacting with these characters, and that saved it for me to a certain degree. Same with Javier Bardem when he interacts with Sebastian the Crab. So yeah, the animals still look a bit weird, and I think that is a leftover problem from The Lion King, and even the Jungle Book remake as well, which I didn't really enjoy. It was okay, but I didn't really get along with that one either. And, that's a leftover problem from those films, and I do think Disney to fix that. Make the animals look a bit more cartoonish. This is a remake, after all. It's, it's meant to be a bit silly and a bit over the top. So make the animals look a bit over the top. Anyway, that's just another problem that I had with the film, but it didn't hugely bother me, that one. Also, Rob Marshall has directed this film. Rob Marshall also directed Mary Poppins Returns, the latest Mary Poppins film, which is a weird sentence to say, the latest Mary Poppins film. Bear in mind, we've had 2 Mary Poppins movies now. That's weird to say. But I didn't really like Mary Poppins Returns, because I felt at times that it had stale direction, stiff direction, didn't really do anything exciting with the musical sequences, and all the stuff that was exciting with the musical sequences in Mary Poppins Returns was not through the direction or the filmmaking or the camera movement. It was just mainly through what was taking place on screen. And I feel the same about this film. Rob Marshall needs to be more confident. I mean, saying that, he's directed numerous musicals in the past, but I feel that this film, he just kind of, he didn't throw himself into the direction, the musical sequences. I feel that a lot of the musical sequences he has tried to give life to in post-production. It does feel at times like he has sat there and gone, well, we'll just put the camera on Hailey Bailey as she sings, I don't know, what's the song called? I forgot the song's called now. In Your World or something like that. I forgot the song is called. But the one where she's singing about how she wants to live on the land. I forgot the name of the song is. But when she's singing that, it feels like he's gone, just place the camera on her and we'll do stuff in post-production to make it look exciting. That's what it feels like they've done. That's what it feels like he's particularly done actually in the musical number of Under the Sea, which is fun to watch in the film, but I think would have been done better if you did some more interesting camera movement. I mean, saying that, I know the film would have been tricky to make, so maybe that's just a bit of a nitpick, but still, I don't think Rob Marshall is the best musical director working today. And I think that's particularly notable in the musical sequences. I think he really needs to, show he can direct a bit more and have some more interesting camera movement in those musical sequences. Like there's one musical sequence in particular where the prince is singing. Again, I forgot the name of the prince. His character is, and there's just a drone camera just swirling around him from side to side, and we're like, do something different, Rob. Let's do something different with your direction. And also, Lin-Manuel Miranda has helped with the lyrics for some of the songs in this film. And even though, it's many of the songs that we already know from the original Little Mermaid, there is a new song. There's a rap in the film, so you do feel Lin-Manuel Miranda's input. And I really like Lin-Manuel Miranda's music, from what I've heard of it. He did, was it Hamlet? I think it's Hamlet. No, he didn't do Hamlet. What am I going on about? What's that famous one that Lin-Manuel Miranda just going to annoy me now if I don't get it. Just give me a sec. Hamilton. Hamlet's a different thing. Yes, that would have been a bit weird if he did Hamlet. No, that was Shakespeare, wasn't it? He did Hamilton, and I haven't seen Hamilton, but I heard some of the music from it and I quite like it. Also, he did the music In the Heights, and actually I didn't really like the music for In the Heights, but Lin-Manuel Miranda is an interesting artist, and I do think he's made some really good music. And you do feel his input in this film, particularly with the rap musical number that was done. However, I don't know if that rap musical number was needed. It wasn't that it was bad to watch. I quite enjoyed watching that rap musical number. But at the same time, though, it didn't add much to the film, and it just kind of felt like it was shoehorned in there in the post-production. Like, oh, it felt like, the producer sat around with this film and went, oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda has wrote a rap for the movie, but we don't know where to put it in. So let's just insert it here, because I'm not really sure if it worked where it was inserted, but that's just me. It was still a good musical number, but I'm just not sure if it was needed. And the film does get a bit baggy in parts, and it's not quite as tight, as the original Little Mermaid. Like one of the things I loved about one of the things I quite liked about the original Little Mermaid, should I say, is the fact that it's under 90 minutes and it's tight, it's to the point, it doesn't drag. And yeah, there's some parts in this film which are a bit baggy, and the finale of the film, the end of the film, is overblown, and it has its problems. But at the same time, it is fun. It's enjoyable, and I had a good time with it, which I really, and I can't emphasize it enough, I didn't expect to say about this film, because the amount of times I've seen a live-action Disney remake at the cinema and not enjoyed it, it's just so annoying. And I went into this film really wanted to like it. I promise you I did, but I was also prepared to dislike it. I was prepared to sit there and be bored throughout most of the film, because I usually don't get along with the live-action Disney remakes. But I did. About 5 minutes into the film, I'm going, actually, this, it's working for me, this one. I'm about as surprised as anybody else watching this that it actually worked for me, and I would recommend it as well. And also, I did say that the ending is a bit overblown, but you sort of expect that from a Disney film. Disney films always have a big, overblown, melodramatic type ending, and yet it works, and it worked for me. I fell for it. I thought the performances were all just absolutely wonderful to watch. Melissa McCarthy is so good as Ursula. Hailey Bailey is a star in the making. She does such a good job playing Ariel. Harry Bardem's great to watch as well. All the cast do a splendid job. All the voice cast do a great job. The musical numbers work really well. Even if they only work because of the actors and the way they're giving life into the musical numbers. They don't really work because of Rob Marshall's direction, but they do work because of the way the actors are giving life into those musical numbers. And so they do work. The musical numbers do work. And I really like that about it. And I just really enjoyed it. It's not a great movie, but I had a great time with it. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just want to go to cinema and watch something that's really enjoyable, and that takes your mind off the day you are having. And that's what happened with me and the remake of The Little Mermaid. And like I said before, I found the film to be swimmingly entertaining. And you know what? That's why I enjoyed it. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that The Little Mermaid, I'm going to say that it's a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good movie, this one, and I watched in a cinema half full with people, who are perhaps the target audience for the film, and they seem to really enjoy it as well. Like, obviously, I'm not the target audience for the film, and I'm fine about that. But the fact that I enjoyed it is, saying something as well. And also, I was walking out the cinema, and I walked up a couple of steps, and then I saw a group of young girls going to another cinema in the same cinema building that I was in, and I was just like, I know what film they're going to see, and I hope they enjoyed it. I hope also people, who are the target audience of the film end up enjoying it, because I just thought it was wonderful. I thought it was absolutely wonderful, and yeah, just really good, and I'm happy that I finally really really enjoyed a live action Disney musical remake. I'm just happy I did, because even so I found Cinderella to be okay, and I found the Jungle Book remake to be okay, I didn't think either of them were that great of a watch. But I thought The Little Mermaid was a great watch. And also, it does a great job modernising The Little Mermaid story. And I think the way The Little Mermaid story is realised into live-action filmmaking is done beautifully. That's one thing I almost forgot to mention. But yeah, I think the way it's realised into live-action is done beautifully. And also, one other thing, there's a cameo from the original Little Mermaid Ariel voice actress, which I found quite delightful as well. She says a scene with the new Ariel in Hailey Bailey, and it's only a short moment, but I was like, oh, it's her. I like when films do that. And it is a absolute joy in my opinion, and I really liked it. I really had a good time with it. And I haven't liked any of the Disney Plus live action remakes before, really. And yet, I liked this one quite a bit, because it had joy in it and it was full of life. And that's why I found it swimmingly entertaining. And that's why, like I said before, I'm going to give The Little Mermaid a 7.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, that's it for the podcast today. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you are listening or watching the podcast. And also, if you do have any ideas of topics you want me to talk about in future podcasts, don't forget to put them in the comment section below. And also, let me know your thoughts on The Little Mermaid. Maybe you really enjoyed it like me, or maybe you weren't too big on it, and that's totally fine as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear them. And like I said before, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do like and subscribe, and also look forward to many more podcasts coming very soon on this channel. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!